Today we're taking your favorite creature types in Magic and we're throwing them on a tier list based on how they are in Commander.
I'm Mia, and I like putting charms on my cell phone.
I'm BZ. I like putting charms in my Commander deck. We're the Nitpicking Nerds, sponsored by Card Kingdom. The only reason we had a segue that even worked is because I knew that I was about to mention Card Kingdom, an amazing website to buy and sell Magic cards.
We love them. We love selling our stuff on there and getting cash or credit, and we love buying singles from them because $50 or more on singles gets you free shipping.
Yeah, and try selling stuff because you get a bonus for trading in store credit if you're just going to buy more Magic cards anyway. And you make sure that they know that we sent you. Use the link in the description. We're also sponsored by Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
We don't usually do it that way, but we do it because Dragon Shield's amazing, and you can go buy sleeves from the source, from the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
And if you do, use code
NERDS.
at checkout to save 5%.
We're also sponsored by Moxfield. Somewhere in the video, you can't guess where it is.
Especially not now.
Never now. And we have a Patreon. Thank you to all our patrons. And if you want your decks audited by us every month, you can go join right there. We also have a podcast. We have some cat pics. We have some, polls, talking points. Gameplay. And if you sign up at the higher tiers, you can even have one-on-ones with us every month.
Yeah, we're even thinking about maybe bringing back some Commander gameplay to the main channel, like edited gameplay. That would be really fun. But right now, we are doing a tier list. And as we know, all tier lists require us to be way smaller than this. So we got to do our little shrinky move thing. Finally. Okay, let me get my computer. All right, now we're ready to judge the most popular creature types in Commander. We're going to be basing this on the power of the type, the fun of the type, and probably just the general coolness vibe. Throwing from S tier all the way to, the bottom tier of every tier list, poop tier.
Yeah, that's completely standard. And we picked the 25 best, so sorry if your favorite doesn't make it.
The 30 best.
30 best. Well, sorry if your favorite doesn't make it, but that could be another video where we could talk about that if you want to leave your favorite in the comments.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to start out with Angels. Angels are creatures that usually cost like 7+ mana, and they're not historically the best. They're all like, top of the curve limited bombs. But then in Commander, they're like, I affect the board next turn, and sometimes you'll get value out of me.
Angels have big, just you wait till I untap, energy.
Yeah,
I really love Angels because I have a soft spot because Kalia, but they definitely are just a big type of mana investment. I do think that did help when Giada came out, though.
Giada is like the crutch that all Angel decks are like leaning up against. They're like, look, my cards don't cost 87. They're in play on turn 5 sometimes. I think Giada definitely helps bump this up, at least for power, like a whole letter grade. I don't know. So we have coolness. They're pretty cool. I think Angels are really cool. Power, they're kind of on the lower end.
Yeah, because it takes so long, and one board wipe just sets you back a really far back. Plus, they're usually mono white or somewhere in the heavily white leaning range, and there's not as much card draw there usually.
Oh, that's true. And then for fun, right?
I think they're pretty fun. I mean, I think Angels are the mono white version of dinosaurs. Big stompy type deals. Just in the air.
All of this, we haven't ranked anything yet. Let's just start out at B. There could be some room to move up or down. We'll start at B. They seem like better than average, assuming C is average. We also have cats next. Cats are very cute. They usually care about anthems and making tokens, kind of generic in terms of what does the creature type actually pay off?
I don't think it's that great. The only cat commanders I ever think of is Rin Seri, which is half dogs, half cats. And then I think of the pre-con Eminence one, the
Arabo.
Yes, and that's not even the most played Eminence one. That's third or fourth most played Eminence.
Yeah, how do you feel about, cats are obviously the coolest, right? They're one of the coolest.
I think they're really cute. And I do think there's a lot of value in them because you get the little cute cat tokens, or it's just it's a good starting point for some people because it's ooh, cats are really cute.
Cats are a good starting point. But so are Angels.
Yeah, but I think a lot of creature type decks often are, but I don't think cats are that powerful. I would probably put them around C.
I think they're pretty mid for fun, and they're pretty mid for power. And the fact that they are very, very cool, does that just put them at C?
I think C is fine. And
C+,
we can amend this later.
We can. Next up is Demons. Demons has very little support, but it is one of the most beloved creature types for Kindred decks out there. Be'lakor is the main demon commander. Demons are like Angels, except there's very, very few, even less than the amount of Angels, there's very few demons that cost less than 5.
I think that Angels are more accessible, but I think the average demon is cooler than the average Angel. Because if you point out things like Villas is pretty cool. You know, like the
like Dreadfeast
Infernal.
Demon, yeah.
I think they're on average way cooler than Angels, but I think they're also way harder to get on the field than Angels.
Yeah,
because
so let's
no
stick them in
Giada.
B, maybe below Angels. Let's go to Dinosaurs next. I mean, Dinosaurs, obviously one of the coolest things to ever exist, not even just one of the coolest creature types in Magic the Gathering. Dinosaurs are just cool. If you're an 8-year-old kid, dinosaurs are awesome.
I mean, I think this is where the big Timmy vibes come from, right? And
Absolutely.
this is such a good segue into Commander because it's like, oh, I can play all the dinosaurs, like the red ones and the white ones and the green ones. I think it's like
Good for Magic.
I also think they're pretty powerful. I mean, Panlaza just came out. There's a lot of support there, and there was also more support with Zakama and Gishath.
Yeah, good for Magic for realizing there was like a dinosaur-sized hole that you could fill with this creature type that really like attracted all these players and like, this is the coolest ever. And a couple years ago, it didn't even exist, like
Yeah.
before Ixalan.
LCI and Ixalan definitely brought the hype up for dinosaurs. I think these are like pretty A rank.
I think they're A.
I think they could even be S, depending on how the rest of the list goes. But I think right now, starting them at A is where I'd want to start them.
You know what? Let's start them at S. I'll happily move it down. You know, people will get excited that it's an S and they'll skip to the end of the video and be like, what happened? So if they get moved down, that's what happened. Next is Dragons. Undeniably cool. Dragons are super cool. Dragons have that Angels and Demons thing, hashtag Kalia, where it's like, oh, they're probably like 5 to 6 mana, and there's not a lot of cheap ones, and they're usually like, just wait till I untap.
True, but I also think they're a little bit easier to get out. There are dragon payoffs, like the ones that came out in Baldur's Gate, like the orbs, and then like the dragon type, their dragon reduction, like cost
Ur-Dragon.
reducers. Ur-Dragon, you could play every dragon literally because of 5 colors. There's a lot of 5-color dragon commanders too that let you just cram all of the good stuff dragons, and then also just have the ramp and removal that you really need to like smooth it out that angels and demons don't get.
Yeah, like Scion and then like Tiamat. Yeah, where's the Tiamat for Angels? You know, where's the Scion of the Ur-Dragon for Demons? I don't see it. So maybe they get to go to A tier. Or do you think S?
I think low S, top of A. I'll let you decide on that one.
All right, well, we'll keep them at A. Next up, we got a very cool type is Eldrazi. They're like alien monster things. There's really only 3 of them, but they split up into little tiny versions of themselves, and they all kind of look like either Ulamog, Kozilek, or Emrakul, the big ones.
I mean, I'm a sucker for some Eldrazi. I came in around Shadows over Innistrad, and there were like the Devoid Eldrazi around that time. So I'm completely biased to like those Eldrazi, especially the Devoid ones, but I do think that there is a big curve. Like mostly in Commander, you see like the big Kozilek decks, and then it's like ramp. There's like the Soul Ring, Thran Dynamo, you know, Jeweled Lotus type deal, and then Kozilek. But
That doesn't count.
Yeah, but then if you like counter one thing, or Zulodok, or whatever your big commander is, and then if you counter it once, they're like, well, I guess I'll see you in 3 turns. One of
Eldrazi
those.
are strong, but just because you play a Kozilek deck doesn't mean you're playing an Eldrazi deck. You got to have like 20 plus Eldrazi in your deck to even be considered an Eldrazi Kindred deck. So there's very few payoffs. I actually put the little artwork here is the one from Modern Horizons 3. Maybe there'll be more in Modern Horizons 3, but for now, I feel like they're so like loosey-goosey. They're not really tied together by anything.
I think so. Maybe bottom of B.
Bottom of
C.
top of let's do top of C. You know, let's move them above Cats.
I think they're very cool. I just don't think they play well as a deck.
They're strong and cool. Yeah, the deck is like non-functional. Let's go to Elves. We both started out Magic as Elf players. I love Elf Ball. It's my favorite type. I'll be completely honest.
Elves are definitely one of my favorite types too. Another one of my favorite types is going to be mentioned below. I think elves are just really good, not just in elf ball decks, but they also just have a lot of synergy outside of it because of mana dorks and because of just like cantrippy type deals, and you know, just the fact that they're very powerful for very cheap.
I think Elves is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, typal deck, Kindred deck in Commander anyway. So for me, it's an easy S. I don't know where you would put them.
I think an S. I might be biased, but I think S.
I think the power of them. You know,
Do you
maybe
think they're above dinosaurs?
I think they are above it for power, but I think a lot of people would agree that they're not the coolest.
You're right.
But they got it for power and fun, at least for me. Next up is fairies, as seen on Bitter Blossom. People love fairies. I kind of miss the hype train of like loving fairies, so maybe the coolness isn't there for me. But they're cheap little flyers, evasive. There's not really one thing tying all fairies together. Like some of them goad, and some of them are like giving shroud, and you've got the anthems and stuff, but they're a little confused.
Yeah, I think they're pretty fragmented. I think the best you're getting is like Alayla, Esper Alayla, where it's like you just have an overbranching theme.
Like just flyers, like not even
just
fairies.
like flyers, and then the other Alayla cares about fairies, but then you don't have that many good fairies. You have like Fairy Mastermind and Brazen Borrower and a couple other good ones, but there's not like a good bedrock for fairies, if you know what I mean.
Man, people really, really love fairies. Is this a D tier? How strong do you think they are? You know,
Not
if you had to
that
give
strong.
them
I'd rather I don't know. I'd rather wait 3 more turns and get a bunch of dragons out.
this feels a little D tier to me.
I think it's a little D tier.
I think we've hit not a great one for us. Let's go to goblins. Very, very beloved. They're
Krenko Mob Boss?
Krenko Mob Boss. I'm sure Eric will comment something about Krenko Mob Boss. Make sure to like it because he comments something about Krenko every single video. Love you, Eric. But goblins are they're terrible at their jobs. They have no idea what's going on. They're very, very unintelligent, and they're played off very comical. And they have this swarm gameplay style where you just get out 75 goblins, and it kind of doesn't matter what they do because there's too many of them.
I think goblins are pretty funny. Every single time I think of goblins, I think of that one thumbnail you made for 7 Most with the goblin grenade little guy.
Yeah, it was he's just getting thrown with a grenade, and it's dynamite. Yeah,
I usually think of stuff like that. I think Krenko's very strong, and because it just explodes really fast. However, I do hate anime Krenko. You heard it here.
He looks weird. We don't like him. But I think goblins probably undeniably in the top half of things. Are we saying A tier for goblins?
I think they're A tier.
Okay, below or above dragons?
Below.
Below. Okay. Next up is horrors, kind of a new addition to this group of tiers. This tier group of creatures. New addition. They're only really got a couple horror commanders. There's the one that cares about exile, Umbris, and then there's Captain Ninguthrad, and they kind of loosely care about milling or removing your opponent's library.
I don't think they're that strong. I think they're cool, but I think they're like oozes. There's not that much support for them.
They're weak sauce. I think they're pretty weak sauce. I feel like there needs to be more horrors.
I don't even think they're that cool.
They need to be more horrors before I put them higher. I think might be
the first poop.
Is it poop tier?
Yeah.
We don't have enough horrors for them to be a cohesive deck.
And I don't think there's enough lore to make them cool.
They're very they're all over the place because Captain Inguthrod is a pirate, but he's a horror. But then on the other thing, I think of a sleep paralysis demon. That's a lot of creatures too. That to me is a horror too.
That's also a demon though.
Well, kind of.
In the name. Let me make that real clear.
Like a shadowy creature that's all misty, and then that's not a pirate.
No.
But they're completely. They're in the same type, so they're confused. Next up is humans. You may have heard of them. They're bipedal organisms that kind
of fleshy,
a little bit squishy. Humans are pretty cool. There are more humans in Magic than any other type. Not close because you're supposed to relate to them, so you can buy booster packs.
I think humans are strong, and I also think they're boring.
They are extremely boring because in a game of fantasy.
Why I want to be myself.
Why you want to go cosplay as yourself? It's like D&D making a character who's an accountant. It's I don't know. You kind of missed it. I think humans are D tier. They're pretty strong, but they're not exciting.
No, definitely not exciting.
D tier for humans. We stink. Next, Hydras. Hydras are big X spells. They are all splashy. They're kind of like the green version of the demons, dragons, angels because they all cost 1,000. They're not very good, and there's not much tying them together.
God, I have a not secret hatred for Hydras, but I always don't love X spells because I've definitely had a couple times where you flip off the top, whether it's Cascade or
something like that,
or it's a Chaos Warp, and I've hit an X spell, and it's just oh, that's 0, cool,
nice.
So I don't know, I don't love Hydras.
Yeah, and I really don't think they're that strong. I think they are one of the weakest types on this list.
Is it a poop?
I think if horrors are poop, Hydra's gotta be poop because they have the coolness, but they don't have the power. And I don't think it's fun to play a Hydra's deck personally, just because they don't. To me, it really feels like they don't do anything.
I feel Mana Gorger is the most effective one I've ever seen, and then it's okay, chomp.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're slandering some of your favorite creature types, but that's the list, baby. That's showbiz, and we actually just realized we have 2 in each category right now. Time to break it up with insects. How do you feel about insects? Insects have almost no support. They're kind of like a go wide tokens thing.
I didn't even expect insects to be on here.
I was surprised it was on here.
So it's not even a thought in my mind.
Is it poop tier? New low?
Yeah, 1, new low. 2, do you have oozes on here?
Oozes? I don't even think oozes made it.
I think of oozes before I think of insects.
That's the rules.
Who's the insect commander? Grist?
No, not Grist is one, and then there's some guy who's
Jumpstart guy, right?
His name starts with Z. I think it's Zask.
Wait, the husk?
I don't know.
No, either way.
Zask the Husk.
New low.
New low. Really, no one plays insects. The players don't exist, so no one can be mad at us. Let's go to Knights.
Wait. We're in G. We're in I. Where's G? Where's Giants? Where's our favorite Grave Titan?
Grave Titan did not make it, unfortunately. We have Knights. Knights give they have anthems, but then the anthem is also tied to something like pretty strong. Like the one we have listed is like +1/+1 and indestructible. So Knights kind of go a little bit in between big and tall, where there's like you have like 6 Knights and they're all really strong.
I feel like Knights are just human plus, but I do enjoy the fact that we got Sidar Jabari with Eminence that's like one of the most fair Eminences.
For sure.
Which kind of made me forget about it because it's actually fair. But I do like the Esper Knights.
Yeah, I think Esper Knights is cool. They're probably like what, bottom of C?
Yeah.
They're better than humans for sure, but they're like
not by much.
Like you said, they're humans plus. What do we got next? We got Merfolk.
Oh, Merfolk. People love Merfolk so much, and they're just value, right? I'm just thinking of like Simic value trades.
They are Simic now. They used to be mono blue, and back then they were terrible. Blue or green gave them a little bit more to do between Kumena and like Neek and Zeal, and there's another one that I'm forgetting, Hackball maybe. So Merfolk have more to do. They're like explory counters now versus just weird island walk stuff. I am not a Merfolk guy myself. I don't know.
I'm not a Merfolk person either. I usually just think of like boarding Simic value, like Tatiova and stuff.
I think of them, but Merfolk is not really in that. They're trying to flood the board with small evasive dudes.
I know. I'm just telling you what I think, but I just like...
You just think of a landfall deck?
Well, I just think of like a lot of value, you know?
I associate Merfolk with like that type that stays on board and then gets wiped and feels a little bad. At least you're in blue. So maybe there's more value than there used to be, and I'm living in the old days. Do you want to put it in C, or do you think it's D?
I think it's better than Knights.
Okay, so
but
like
I don't
right
think it's
here.
better than anything else on the list.
How about Moxfield.com? I mean,
Moxfield is S+.
Personally, I would put Moxfield a little bit above Dinosaurs because without Moxfield, we wouldn't even have Magic the Gathering, because Moxfield single-handedly has been propping up Magic the Gathering because it's such a good, useful deck tool.
We love Moxfield. We're building decks right now, like no rares type deal, and BZ's building like a $50 deck, and he has like 120 cards in a deck. And, you know, Moxfield really helps because before we buy them, we can just build them online, and BZ can take out 20 cards to make it a legal deck.
Yeah, I can actually stick 150 cards in the deck without having to put 150 cards on my desk, and then it's like a little bit less hectic. Thanks, Moxfield. We appreciate it. Next up is Mir. Mir only have Urtet to tie them together. They kind of care about tapping and untapping shenanigans, which I do like. It's different from most of the other creature types on this list.
I think Mirs are the type where it's like people are always trying to make excuses for them. What mana dork thing did we talk about? And everyone's like, but this one's a mirror, and it's like, not that
alloy
good.
mirror.
Yeah, it's not that good.
People like to.
But my boy Mirror Convert, cool guy.
That's the greatest man right
there.
That's
the greatest mirror.
I think there's just not enough tying them together, and they're kind of cool. They're like mindless robots on Mirrodin. They sort of like are more of an engine type creature type, where you want to go wide, but you're not necessarily attacking too much with them.
I don't know. When I want to like play mindless robots, I'd probably build like a card construct deck.
Yeah. So what do we think? D tier for Mir?
Yeah.
Better than humans. Humans are going below fairies. I just realized that.
Humans kind of boring.
So Phyrexians are next.
Phyrexians are cool.
Extremely cool.
I think they're cool.
Objectively cool. They're based. They're sick, but there's not a lot of payoffs tying them together. There's only like 2 or 3 cards that say like Phyrexians do this.
I think Phyrexians have a lot of cool one-off type deals, like all of the the Praetors, right?
The Praetors are sick,
and
but they don't care about Phyrexians.
Then you got like my boy Skrelv.
Is a dope Phyrexian.
And then you have like a couple other like very forgettable ones.
Glistener Elf, Blighted Agent. There's a lot of heroes, but there's not a lot of like payoffs for Phyrexians. So I don't know. Does that put them in B tier maybe? Just because
there's like not that much power in them.
Okay.
If it's like if we're talking about them as a whole, this is my Phyrexian deck, I'm pulling out like a $50 deck.
How fun is Phyrexians? How fun are Phyrexians?
I think if you play one, they're fun. If you play an entire deck, it's less
this
fun.
is the.
I know.
This is the episode
where
we talk about only the entire deck of Phyrexians.
I think it's probably less fun because you have less like splashy payoffs.
Yeah, I think so too. So where would you put it? Maybe I'll listen to you on this one.
Like maybe above Knights, but not by much.
Above Knights, so like middle to lower end
maybe
of C tier.
Maybe above Cats.
Above Cats.
Yeah.
Okay, so like top of C. Top-ish of C.
Yeah.
Right next to Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Kind of have a similar problem to Eldrazi. They're super cool. They're kind of strong, but why are you playing 20 of them? Next up is Pirates. Pirates is a very beloved, kind of as new as Dinosaurs type of deck where they really like treasure. I know they like treasure and they like artifacts. They like pumping themselves. So there's a decent identity.
Pirates to me are knights plus, right? They're better than humans. They're better than knights.
Humans with jobs.
Yeah, they're cooler, but they're always so disappointing because every single time I see a pirate payoff, it's not as good as I want. And then the commander deck came out. I'm like, that's going to be a payoff. And then it was not.
Yeah, the Admiral Beckett Brass was weird.
I do like the fact that they did introduce finality counters, though. I think that's a very cool mechanic.
It is cool. So pirates, they are humans with jobs, so they're better than humans. Are they top of D or bottom of C, maybe?
I think they're better than knights.
Okay, so let's stick them here. I think pirates have some work to do before they're like the funnest, coolest tribe. Next is rats. Rats is being propped up by for some reason, 7 rat commanders. I don't know why there's so many. And then 3 rat cards. Relentless Rats and Rat Colony are the main ones where you just put 60 of them in your deck and then you go, I am rats. But I don't even know.
I am rats.
If you're not playing Relentless Rats or Rat Colony, can you even make a deck of rats? Are there enough?
I mean, I don't know. I don't like Stuart Little, so I mean, maybe he was a mouse.
He was a mouse. Mouse is
Okay.
a different creature type of Magic.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not a big fan of the rat types because I don't like just having the same card in my deck 80 times.
That I don't find very interesting.
So I don't think it's that
interesting.
strong. But I am always surprised with the fact that you say, here's my rat deck, and then there's a bunch of different commanders you can just pull out.
I don't know why Wizards keeps making the rat commanders. I think it's fine. I think
fine.
they're maybe top of D.
Yeah, sure.
I really, Relentless Rats, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Seen the card. Let's go to Rogues. Rogues kind of care about milling a little bit, and there's a lot of evasive, smaller creatures. They don't buff too much, but I think you're trying to it's like a cerebral attack where you're milling their library and messing with their hand.
I think rogues are pretty cool considering there are some that are just you lose the game if this hits you.
I think that's assassins, actually.
Oh, wait. No, I thought...
You're conflating mice and rats. You're conflating assassins and rogues.
Okay, so are these just edgy humans?
These are humans with jobs. They're
Humans with Jobs
Humans with jobs.
2.0.
Yeah, I don't think rogues are that exciting.
Okay.
Do we want to stick them in poop tier? They're
I don't think they're worse than human.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
No, they're worse than humans.
They're worse than humans.
Put
How
them
about
right
this?
below humans.
Let's do that. I think they're a little bit out of poop
I think
tier.
assassins are cool.
Assassins are cool. Not on this list.
Why are they on the list?
Assassins, oozes, justice for part 2, I think it needs to happen. Next up is Shapeshifters. This is the deck that plays all the cards with Changeling that are every creature type, and then you actually steal payoffs from every other type on this list, just the best ones. My Merfolk have +1/+1 on Island Walk. Well, all my other creatures are Merfolk, so I get to just play this card.
I think this is boring. It's just you couldn't pick a lane.
Yeah, you do get to play the best cards. So for typal payoffs, it's probably the strongest, I guess, in terms of what you're getting. But it's also the least cohesive, and then when you draw only your lords, they don't do anything because you need your Changelings. So I feel like this is either up in the middle, top, or towards the bottom.
I think this is so boring. You're playing Morphon. You couldn't pick a lane. You wanted 4 lords that are really cool. This is the good stuff of Kindred decks, but you just went, I don't know, just throw all of them in there. I think it's
Do we just stick it in the bottom of poop tier just for just for sheer lack of creativity?
Sure.
Whatever. It's our tier list.
It's my list. It's our list. Come on.
Bottom. All right. Slivers. You've seen one. You've seen them all. Sliver decks basically just play every good sliver. I find there's little to no variation in sliver decks, so my interest for them is at pretty much 0. However, they are pretty strong. They can combo. There's a lot of good slivers commanders that make the deck a force to be reckoned with.
Slivers are so overrated, in my opinion. I think that they were the big bad, kind of like Eldrazi were.
2012.
And then you throw them into Commander. It's 2024. They're decent, but they're not so scary that people should be target the sliver player every single time. I think you should be targeting the elf ball player or the dragon player or something else, because slivers, it's okay, you take out 3 good slivers and then they just sit there. It's oh, I guess they can have double strike.
You take away the slivers that tap for mana and the slivers that have haste. Those 2 things are holding this entire type together. Let's be real. But I would say...
I don't think they're bad, though. I think they're pretty cool.
I think just based on how cool they are and how beloved they are, universally,
Bottom
maybe
of
they're
B?
bottom of B. It's exactly what I was thinking. Let's go to soldiers, humans with jobs. They have swords. I don't really know what differentiates them between knights. They have worse cards. They have worse lords.
I think they're worse knights.
They're just knights that don't have enough attention.
Yeah, stick them somewhere bottom of C or below.
maybe even poop. Let's go.
But they're humans with jobs.
They're humans with jobs, so they're better than.
No, but humans are actively better than soldiers. Like, I'm more scared if you pull out an Adeline humans deck than I am if you pull out a soldier deck. I can't even name like.
I couldn't name like 5.
In poop.
Yeah, let's just stick it in poop. This is our list. I'm really not interested. I think let's put them below insects.
Sure.
Soldiers below insects. You heard it here first. Next up, I'm extremely biased. I'll say it right now, but spiders, aka spooters, creepy crawlies. They want to go wide with a bunch of like, they want to swarm you. They want to make you lose life based on the number of spiders. So they kind of have like this non-combat thing between Ishkana and Rot Widow Pack. Those are 2 of my favorites.
Yeah, I was like, you're definitely not just mentioning Shelob, you know, the
best
command.
one.
I was like the one that most people gravitate towards, and Ishkana's a 99.
Yeah, but I love Ishkana.
I know you do.
For me, I have them maxed out at fun, maxed out at coolness, and I have them, you know, they're middle of the road. Middle minus for power. They're not very strong.
I think middle minus is about where I'd put them for power, and everything else is like, it's fine.
Okay, so I think that all balances out to maybe the bottom of B.
Sure.
I love spiders. Spiders are sweet.
I think they're okay. I don't think they're bad. I just think they're fine.
Yeah, they might be top of C. But guess what? This is the Nitpicking Nerds tier list. Spirits. Spirits
Are boring.
are a lot of flying creatures. They can overwhelm you pretty quick. But I think they only have a couple good spirit payoffs. Like, I get it. Drog's Call Captain is a very good card. I have played against that card a lot in 1v1, and I'm very sick of it. So I don't look at it and I go, ooh, I look at it and I roll my eyes because I'm always expecting Collected Company into 2 Drog's Call Captains and then just like, pfft. But spirits, I just don't know if there's enough tying them together outside of the lords.
Yeah, I think spirits are pretty boring. They're just humans who died.
Humans that used to have jobs. They're unemployed, actually.
And like, I don't know, is it like Millicent is like the only like real
Right,
spirit
Millicent. She can
commander?
kinda slap.
That's pretty good, but other than that,
I don't know what we want to give them. Are spirits cooler than humans? Are spirits like better than humans?
I don't think they're better than humans by any means
So
necessary.
maybe they're like between humans and rogues.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's one I might just leave to you. Tell us about vampires.
I think vampires are really good. I think Edgar makes them really, really good.
What do vampires like to do?
Vampires like to little bits of life gain here and there and just overwhelm the board, and there's a lot of lords. And there's a couple of really strong ones. There's like Captivating Vampire, which just lets you steal stuff for free.
Blood. What's this guy's name? Blood something?
That's Bloodline Keeper.
Bloodline Keeper.
I think vampires are very cool. I started on Edgar, but I also think without Edgar as your commander, they get way worse.
They get a lot more fair, a lot quicker. So where would you put vampires? I'll basically just leave this to you. If I get to put spiders in B tier, you get to stick vampires wherever you want because they're very beloved.
I think vampires are maybe around dragons.
Around dragons? Maybe like here?
Yeah. Wait, what's the one between dragons and...
Dragons, goblins, vampires?
I think they're above goblins. And,
Ooh, okay. Hot take.
I just think there's more utility in a bunch of vampires on the board than there are with a bunch of goblins on the board.
Your vampires on board will be better, but there'll be more goblins. That's kind of how that...
Yeah.
All right, next is walls.
I don't care.
Walls just can't attack, and then you have to play cards that make them attack, and it's always... that the walls now deal damage equal to their toughness. So like Assault Formation, Arcades, a Strategist. I just don't know how much there is to love about walls.
I think there's pooped here. I think it's like there's too much setup.
There's a lot of setup. It's not very good.
For very little payoff.
It's not very good. And I can't imagine even the most diehard of walls players would say like, yeah, walls are really cool.
Yeah, walls better than dragons. I think they're better than... I
kind of have them here.
Really? I think hydras are better than them.
All right, maybe here then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, walls, there's not much to latch onto. I don't know how I relate to a wall or...
I don't.
I can talk to a wall sometimes. How about werewolves? Werewolves struggle because there's not a lot of them. And the werewolves that are existing kind of are in 2 different camps. There's like the day-bound, night-bound werewolves, and then there's the transforming that are almost impossible to transform werewolves.
God, I don't like werewolves because there's like a lot of reasons. One, I came in during like vampires and werewolves, so I latched more onto vampires. 2, I hate day and night. I think it's an awful mechanic to keep track of. So because they brought those, I instantly hate them.
How good do you think a werewolf deck is?
Not that good.
Your only 2 commander options, as far as I know, aside from like Morophon, is like Tovolar, who's okay, he's pretty good, and then there's like Ulrich, who's completely disappointing.
I think neither of those would even make me bat an eye. I'd go, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
whatever.
play whatever deck. I'll bring out a 20 for this.
A $20 deck against a werewolf deck.
I think the best werewolf is worse than like I don't know the worst vampire maybe.
I think werewolves would be cooler if you hadn't made me watch all of the Twilight movies. They really like
The CGI in those
they single-handedly
wasn't good for its time.
hurt my opinion. And we didn't watch them a long time ago. This was like a month ago.
Yeah, the CGI wasn't even good for its time at then. So shout out to the Renesmee fans here. CGI baby.
Chris, our editor is going to put Renesmee up so that you all can see it. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. I don't think werewolves are that good. I don't think they're strong in Commander. I think they were pretty good 1v1 back in the day. But
I think they are still... They're pretty cool. Like, if this was just a coolness tier...
They're
they
humans that transform.
Oh, no. They are humans with jobs. Okay, bottom of C? Can we give the werewolf players that?
Okay, we could be bottom of C.
The werewolf players can go...
But just know I don't agree with that,
The werewolf players are walking away saying, at least I got a C.
Yeah, I don't agree with that personally, but for you guys, we could put it bottom of C, but just know it's the bottom. We're not putting anything below that.
All right, next is a very tricky creature type to build. It's wizards. Wizards have some pretty good payoffs. Like Patron Wizard is actually an absurd magic card if you're playing a Wizards deck. They care about instants and sorceries, reduction, and a lot of like copying. So I don't know if Wizards are necessarily going to be like attacking for the win, but they're going to be drawing you millions of cards.
I'm not going to lie, I saw the little like picture on the bottom of this chart and I thought it was like a Doctor Who card and I was like, why are we putting Time Lords on here?
No, this guy is Count Dooku. This is Count Dooku the Wizard.
Okay, sure. Wizards are pretty strong.
Wizards are pretty strong.
Wizards bring some heat. They're nerds who can't punch, but they can.
Humans with jobs.
They are humans with jobs. They're nerds who can't punch, but they're really good at math and can like crackle with power for like 10,000 billion.
And they bring out the chalkboard, the whiteboard.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
it's over.
They're like, you're dead, buddy.
They still have a gun in this?
It's a gun, but it's a science gun.
It's a science gun. It shoots math. I think that's a little tricky to build a Wizards deck because you got to balance instant and sorceries and your actual wizard count. So if you have 35 creatures that are wizards, then your instants and sorceries are going to be a little lackluster. But then if you have less wizards, you have less payoffs. So it's like a little bit tricky to build. I would say wizards are probably like some of the best humans with jobs.
I was just going to say that. I was like, humans are the best humans with jobs here.
Are they like top of the C?
Yeah, I'll give them top of the C.
All right, and that brings us to obviously the last one alphabetically, which is zombies. Zombies recur from the graveyard. There's like 5 or 6 zombie cards that sort of dictate what the archetype is, and that's Zombie Apocalypse, Rooftop Storm, Gravecrawler, and like Diregraph Captain.
Yeah.
That's like sacrifice zombies. You don't even need to attack with them. Just sacrifice them over and over. Bring them back a million times. I think actually almost all of the zombies that give +1/+1 only are complete wastes of space in your deck, and you just build like an Aristocrats type deck.
I think zombies are really cool, which is kind of like weird for me to say because I'd never like talk about zombies ever. I think zombies are super cool. If I didn't have as many Kindred decks, I might have a zombie deck. I think their drawback, though, is that every zombies deck has a combo in it, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, I like. If you think your zombies deck doesn't have a combo
You're probably
in it,
wrong.
Then I will ask you, do you play a Sack Outlet? Do you play Gravecrawler? Do you play Rooftop Storm? If you do, you have a combo in your deck.
That's an infinite combo.
Any death trigger will go infinite, like with Diregraph Captain, you just win. And it's hard to cut any one of those cards because those are like the quintessential zombie cards. So very often I'll play against people with zombies, and I'm like, you just win here. And they're like, what? I'm like, Gravecrawler. And they're like, oh, shoot.
So I think that is one of the main drawbacks. I mean, combos are not bad, don't get me wrong.
No.
But I think that any type that really has a built-in combo, no matter what, is automatically a little less cool.
That's fair. Kind of like slivers, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I have 75 gem palm slivers. Okay, so
I think they're cool, though, as a type.
They're definitely in the top half. Are they above this B range? Are they in bottom of A?
No, I think they're maybe top B, though.
Okay, so they're a little bit lameness, of like their instant win cards makes them not A, but B instead. I think that's a pretty solid tier list. If you are looking for an older tier list, you can look at this one. I think this tier list is just as viable as the other ones.